Did you know rich people use debt to make more money? Most people think debt is bad, but for the wealthy, it's actually a useful tool. Surprising, right? First, let's see what debt means. Debt means borrowing money. Our parents often say that borrowing money is always bad, but for billionaires, it's not always true. Why? Because there are two kinds of debt. Good debt is when you borrow money to buy something that gives you more money later. Example: taking a loan to buy a rental house that pays you rent every month. Bad debt is when you borrow money for things that don't bring money back. Example: using a credit card to buy a new smartphone. It looks nice, but it doesn't grow your bank account. In simple words, rich people use good debt. Rich people borrow money to buy things that make more money. Instead of spending their own cash, they use loans to invest in houses, stocks, or businesses. The money they earn each month from these investments is more than what they pay back on the loan. This way, they make extra money without using their own savings. Rich people also don't like paying high taxes. Since debt is not counted as income and they must pay interest on it, it isn't taxed, which makes it lighter to handle. This is called tax avoidance. It's legal and helps reduce taxes. It's very different from tax evasion or fraud, which are illegal. I'll explain more about this in the next video. So, how does good debt really work? The first example is the real estate strategy. Real estate rich people use mortgages to buy houses without spending their own money. For example, they might buy a house for $500,000 using a mortgage and pay $2,500 per month. Then, they rent the house out for $3,000 a month. The renter's payments cover the mortgage, and they still make $500 profit every month. Once the mortgage is fully paid, they keep all the rent, and if the house value goes up, they earn even more. Example 2. Investment. Rich people often borrow money to invest. For example, they might take a $200,000 loan at 7% interest and put it into something that gives 15% return. They pay $14,000 in interest, but earn $30,000 from the investment, leaving them within $16,000 profit. Even after taxes and fees, they still make money. The third strategy is called buy, borrow, die. Sounds dramatic, right? Here's how it works. First, a rich person wants to make money, so he buys $200,000 in assets that go up in value, like stocks or real estate. Instead of selling these assets when he needs cash, which would mean paying taxes, he borrows $50,000 from a bank using the assets as a guarantee. Borrowing money isn't taxed, so he gets cash without selling anything. Now let's say those assets grow from $200,000 to $300,000, giving a $100,000 gain. When he passes away, his son inherits the $300,000 in assets. Thanks to tax rules, the son doesn't pay taxes on the $100,000 gain that happened during his father's lifetime. Later, if the son sells the assets at $350,000, he only pays taxes on the $50,000 increase since he inherited them. It's like getting a free pass in Monopoly. Example 4. Leveraged buyout. First, a rich person finds a company that has potential to do better. Next, he borrows a large amount of money to buy the company. This is what's called a leveraged buyout. Then, he works to make the company more profitable, using the profits to pay back the loan. Finally, once the company is improved and the loan is repaid, he sells it for more than he paid and makes a profit. You might be wondering, why do rich people take on debt when they could just use their own money? Well, like I mentioned before, they don't have to pay taxes on debt. Plus, they don't have to spend their own money to make more money. It's like getting access to free money. But using debt isn't all fun and games. There are risks. If the value of a house drops or a business doesn't do well, they can lose money and have trouble paying back the loan. That's why rich people spread their investments and make sure they fully understand the loans they take. Real-life example. Elon Musk is one of the richest people in the world, yet he actually has very little cash. Most of his wealth is tied up in stocks of his companies like Tesla and SpaceX, not in a bank account. He even admitted that he sometimes takes loans to cover his daily expenses. So why doesn't he just sell some of his stocks? Selling would stop his money from working, and he could lose control of his companies. By borrowing instead, he keeps his wealth growing while still having the cash he needs. If you want me to make more videos explaining these topics, please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.